All right. I know we've known each other for a little bit. I'll just stand back here and let you answer the questions, and I'll have the whole video up online so you'll be able to see it and do what you need to with it as well. And it's got like basically 5 questions. One, I know we saw you at the Lake County Young Republicans. I asked you a little bit about the pensions. I'd like to kind of get an update on where the pension committee is now, or when you're going to meet again, and kind of the time frame, what you're expecting out of that.
We met just last Friday, and I'm sorry, we met just yesterday again, and we're going to meet next Friday, excuse me. We really laid down the gauntlet to the chairman, who was very receptive to the fact that we've been meandering around this for the last several weeks, and it's time to really push forward to some sort of meaningful solution. Or if this group can't do it, then maybe we ought to think of plan B. Obviously, the importance of this is to come up with enough reforms that we're able to actually fund the pensions and fund the rest of state government. It's not without apology that we have to ask people who've paid into the system to accept those reforms. It's frankly Republican and Democratic legislators who voted for bonding schemes, governors who failed to fund the pensions that have created most of the problem. But it is what it is, and if we're going to live up to what people have earned to date, we're going to have to reform the way we go forward. I've been an advocate of that for over a decade, and I'll continue to push for moving forward, because this is really the first step in returning Illinois' economy to a prosperous one.
Speaking of, well, the pensions and the taxes, what is your feeling on the income tax, the increase that Quinn put in 2011? And secondary to that is, what do you think about Madigan and them talking about putting in the progressive income tax on the ballot next fall?
Well, the 67% increase that the Democrats and Governor Quinn put in place has damaged our economy greatly. As far as I know, I'm the only candidate for governor, Republican or Democrat, who's unequivocally said he will veto any attempt by the Democrats to extend any part of that tax. We have to realize that we've lost over 290,000 jobs in the last 5 years. You don't create jobs by increasing taxes on hardworking families, sucking 1 week's pay out of their pocket, or on businesses. And so I'm going to stand for relief in the area of taxes. I'll veto any attempt to continue any portion of that tax that is set to sunset. Right now, as you indicated, one of the big pushes by several people is quote-unquote a graduated income tax that they call progressive. Well, it's the last thing from progressive. Any movement in increasing taxes in a graduated way will be nothing less than a tax increase. I'll do everything I can to make sure any attempt to reform or change our Constitution to allow a graduated income tax is defeated. It just simply will give the Democrats another tool to increase taxes, further damaging our economic opportunity.
Another issue on the taxes with property taxes. Would you favor a freeze on property taxes, or something along the lines of what Representative Jack Franks put out? If the values go down, that the property taxes can't be increased based on the PTEL? What's your idea on the property taxes?
Right now, I think property taxes have to be tackled at the local level. Local elected officials at the city, school board, and other areas have to be held accountable for what they do. And they've got to hold the line on taxes. I have supported in the past property tax caps, and will continue to fight for those reforms. At the local level, elected officials need to be held accountable and need to realize that property taxes are damaging the economic survival of families, and we have to learn to live within our means without raising property taxes. We also have to realize that as property values go down, the tax on those properties should be reduced as well.
Okay. We're hearing a lot about illegal immigration and stuff at the national level and stuff, and I know you did vote for driver's license for illegals here in the state. I just want to give you a chance to kind of explain your reason. I think I've heard a little bit about it before. I'd just like to hear that directly from you, exactly how that came about.
Well, we need immigration reform. Frankly, we need a country that has a strong border control that protects our borders, but also has a bigger door to let people who want to get into this country, as our ancestors did, and play a productive role into it in a very conducive way. When it comes to the legislation that authorized an opportunity for people who weren't residents, who weren't citizens, to drive, Although I voted against it twice, we were able to work on several measures which in fact said this can't be used for any other purpose other than to train you, to educate you, and to test you. Training, education, and testing is so important. We've had millions and millions of dollars lost by uninsured motorists in the state. And this will not only reduce I believe, reduce the number of traffic accidents, which enhances public safety, but also give people a means to recover reimbursement for an accident that happened. It also creates a form of tracking people who are here not as residents. And so there's a lot of advantages, I think, to this program.
Illinois is known for voter fraud. How would you go about combating that? Would you support IDs for voting? How would you go about combating some of the fraud that we see?
I sponsored South Carolina-like legislation that I think works to protect the value of everyone's vote. The value of a legitimate vote is only protected to the extent we don't let people vote illegitimately, meaning duplicate or vote when they shouldn't be. So I supported legislation that would require identification, provide free identification through the county office so that it wasn't an expense to meet that requirement, but that would guarantee the integrity of every vote in this state. We need to do that. I'm going to continue to support that effort with every ounce of energy.
And what do you feel about term limits for the multiple offices, or difference for each office, or what do you think about that?
Well, I've supported term limits. I've introduced legislation that created term limits. My thought was that 10 years in either chamber was enough. Frankly, if you're good enough after 10 years in one chamber, you can run for the other chamber. If you're good enough there, you can run for dog catcher or Congress or governor or something else. But we've got to end these fiefdoms of power. And people talk about leader term limits. Well, let's just focus on bringing back the legislature to a level of citizen government. And that means term limits on all offices, not just leaders. And anyone who believes that a leader term limit would actually limit the ability to create these pockets of power, I believe is naive. But if you force someone to leave that area and go to another area if they want to stay in public service, that will work. Anyone who falls short of that, frankly, doesn't believe in term limits.
And just one final question. We've already had State Senator Dillard and Treasurer Rutherford have announced their lieutenant governor candidates. When will you be announcing your candidates, and can you give us any hints tonight?
In the near future. And I think it's been important that we've protected the integrity of the people we've talked to. We'll continue to do that. But in the near future, we'll make an announcement, and I'm sure everyone will be excited as we are about that opportunity.
Cool. All right. Thank you.